What is Ethereum? In this video, we're going to find out. Hey guys, I'm Najeeb, and let's just jump right into it. Alright, for Ethereum, think about it in this way. Before we understand Ethereum, we have to first understand the basis of the internet, because that will help us understand what Ethereum is. So, starting first, the concept of the internet. If you wanted to look at a website or a video such as this, what happens is it gets hosted on a server, and in order for you to view that content, blog post, article, PDF, you have to get access to it from the server to your computer. So it's based on one single entity. But what ends up happening is if the server gets either crashed or hacked, you can't have access to this entire database at all. Now that is what the internet happens, or what's happening to the internet right now. Websites, content, media files, a lot of these information are stored on servers. Now a lot of servers do have backups in case if something happens. However, what ends up happening is if that gets destroyed, then everyone loses access to it entirely. Now the worst case is if you have a server where you have personal information, such as financial information or other personal information, and it gets hacked or someone unauthorized comes in and changes it, then you're held liable because, well, you didn't even know that this is being hacked until it's too late. So that's how it is, the internet right now. The way it works with the blockchain technology is that if I wanted to send in information, and a piece of information, whether it's a financial record or even a finance or a property or even a deed to a property, the way it would work is you have two parties. You have the party who's sending and the party who's receiving. Typically right now, the way it works is if the person who is sending, if they end up sending it to the person, there is a middleman who's kind of guaranteeing and facilitating the transaction. And everything's reliant on me, and I basically take a cut, to be the middleman. However, with blockchain technology and Ethereum, what it allows you to do is to build and send information across, whereas all I do is make sure that the transaction is successful. Now, the other element of this is in Ethereum and blockchain, what it allows us to do is the middle person is not one, but it's a network of nodes. So if one node actually dies or gets destroyed or hacked, it's not compromising the entire system. So that's the advantage of Ethereum and blockchain technology. So what is the difference between blockchain and Ethereum? Well, it's very similar. Ethereum is actually built on top of blockchain, and blockchain is basically what I described. Alright, now the person who created Ethereum, one of the creators is Vitalik Buterin, who, as a matter of fact, is from Canada. Alright, now we're talking about smart contracts. The thing with smart contracts, the way it works with Ethereum is that it allows a person or two parties to send one information to another and facilitate all the transactional components within Ethereum itself. So, if I wanted to send you a piece of contract for, let's just say, work you're doing, if you are going to build a website for me, that's going to be me and that's going to be you. So if you're going to build a website for me, what's going to happen is we're going to enter into an agreement and say that, you know what, when this website is done, then I get paid out, or pardon me, you get paid out. So that's what the blockchain smart contract allows you to do, is as soon as the work gets completed, you get paid. Now, the element in addition to that is it doesn't necessarily have to be a website. If you take a look at a financial transaction or a property or a deed, as soon as the deed gets completed, it automatically triggers the sending of the funds, in this case, to the other party. The reason why it's called blockchain is when you send a transaction from one person to another, what ends up happening is it gets written into a chain. Think of it as a literal chain. And the next transaction that happens, that gets written onto the chain as well. So if I send you $10 and you send the next person $10 and the third person $10, that entire thing gets written in a chain. So we can actually track exactly where the $10 is coming from or going. That's the concept of a public ledger. what the advantages are of that entire ecosystem is that one, it's a public ledger, so everyone has access to it, but without knowing exactly who it is. Second, is that it's secure. Because there are different nodes, there isn't one party that's in charge of every single entity of it. The entire thing is secure. And there isn't really going to be any downtime, because really if one node of the network falls through, the entire elements of the other nodes still survive. Alright, now what can Ethereum be used for? There are a few different examples of what Ethereum can be used for. First is crowdfunding. Crowdfunding allows you to raise funds like WeFund. Next is identity management. With a lot of identities, especially if you're in rural communities, being lost or not even accessible or not even created, companies like Upport are able to manage identities for a lot of people. The other thing is, let's just say diamonds. If you ever bought diamonds or if you're interested in diamonds, what ends up happening is a lot of people, when they want to get diamonds, they want to make sure it's sourced ethically from a right conflict-free location. And companies like Provenance allow the diamonds to be tracked using blockchain technology. And the other example that I have of an application of Ethereum is market predictions. Imagine using the crowdsourced information and to help predict market movements, and that's what Augur is trying to do. Alright, what's the difference between Ethereum and Ethereum Classic? You see, in 2016, a startup created something called the DAO, which is the Decentralized Autonomous Organizations. And the intention of this was to create, well, basically what's in the name itself. But however, what ended up happening is they raised money. They raised $150 million in an initial coin offering. Think of it like crowdfunding in a way, where you get a piece of the company, to simply say it. However, what ended up happening was the DAO got hacked. Now, it wasn't the exact Ethereum blockchain that got hacked, but the DAO which sits on top of the Ethereum blockchain. You see, the DAO is actually built using Ethereum, but it sits on top of the Ethereum blockchain. And when the DAO got hacked, $50 million at that value in Ethereum was lost. So at that point, it was a huge debacle, and what ended up happening is the creators and the programmers and developers of the Ethereum community decided to intervene. And when they did, what they realized was, well, we should either do something which is going to help the community, or if we don't, then the value of Ethereum is going to get lost. So after doing a public vote, what ended up happening was that the Ethereum community started to create a fork. So Ethereum was going this way, and they started to create a fork. So if you think about the blockchain technology, blockchain itself, it's going like this. And what they did is they decided to create a fork and create a new Ethereum. So the new Ethereum is called Ethereum, and the old Ethereum is called Ethereum Classic. What ended up happening was, because people lost money, $50 million from the DAO incident, the community decided to intervene and create the fork in the road. Now, 90% of the users are on the new Ethereum called Ethereum, which is ETH, and about 10% is still remaining to carry on with the original to maintain with Ethereum Classic. That's it for the video today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want free Bitcoins, click on the link below and you'll get $10 in free Bitcoins. And if you want more information, whether it's about Ethereum, blockchain, or just innovation reports, click on the link below and it'll take you right there. Thanks for watching.